Here is a pretty cost-effective way to get set up in order of importance. So you'll want to probably get started with grinding your own beans fresh. And you can do that relatively inexpensively with a hand burr grinder. Sure, it will take quite a while, but something like this lasted me years before I upgraded to something better. Here, this little corner of our kitchen is the grinder that I've been using for just over a year now. Admittedly, it's a bit on the pricier side. It's just over 500 Australian dollars. This is a Varia VS3. Funnily enough, for coffee enthusiasts, this is considered a budget grinder. And I definitely don't think this is a budget grinder, but it's simple, it's small, and I hope it lasts a really, really long time. There's a lot of bro science about coffee and a lot of debate around it, but I think one thing that most people can agree on is that grinding your beans fresh is a very easy way to get a much better cup of coffee. Now that you have freshly ground coffee, you'll want to make sure you're brewing with the right ratios, and you need some weighing scales to do that. 10 years ago, coffee scales used to be very expensive, but now they are way cheaper with a lot of generic scales that do both weight and time. All of the good coffee recipes out there require you to know precisely how much coffee you're putting in versus how much water you're brewing with, also known as a brew ratio. And weights are the most precise way to get there. Also, a scale with a timer is just so much more convenient. I've just been using this very generic scale from Amazon that I've had for over a year now. It's fine. It's one of those where you won't really remember the brand name, but there are 20 of the same products with different brand names on them on Amazon. Also, if the current state is any indication, we use this for much more than coffee. This is also our kitchen scale. My partner uses it for baking, and she relies heavily on weights rather than volume for baking. So it's not a single-use appliance, which is great. Just by grinding your beans fresh and weighing your coffee and water, you will already get 80% of the weight there. Now you want to pick your brewer of choice. If you want the fewest number of things to worry about, an immersion method like French press or AeroPress is the best, because you won't really need a fancy kettle and pouring precision isn't that important. If you really want to do pour-over, which is a class of brewing that looks something like this, if this style really speaks to you, I suggest a Hario V60 to start with, and this is actually what I use 95% of the time. It's a plastic Hario V60, and it's indestructible, and apparently it's also the best at heating up quickly, even better than the ceramic or the metal ones, which to me was counterintuitive at first, but apparently that's how thermodynamics works. You can see out back, I have so many brewers in here, like the Kalita Wave, the Kalita 102, a French press, an AeroPress. Even Seth Rogen's company makes a brewer nowadays. But I always just keep coming back to this, a plastic Hario V60. For my preferred flavor profile of coffee, I like really clear and punchy coffee. This brewer does it the best from what I've experienced, and it's so affordable. It's under 20 Australian dollars, and it's my most forgiving brewer by far. Like, I can screw around a bit with the recipes, and usually I'll still end up with a really good cup of coffee. Now that you're down the pour-over rabbit hole, you'll probably benefit from getting a gooseneck kettle like this, where you can control your pour speed, or as they say in coffee terms, the flow rate of your pour. But honestly, a regular electric kettle is fine at first until you feel the need to upgrade. Later on, you might start experimenting with temperature control, so you might want a gooseneck kettle that already has it. So the kettle that I've been using here is from Brewista. I've had it with me for probably like 5 years now. It has temperature control, it has a gooseneck spout, which gives you a bit of control over the flow rate. This kettle is perfectly fine for me, and I will use it until it breaks. I almost forgot one last thing. You might be wondering what this beaker-like contraption is that I've been using in some of the videos I've been showing you. This is called a server. It's basically a carafe, and this is where you brew coffee into. I usually use this because I typically brew for 2 people, and so having it here first, swirling the coffee around and splitting it is helpful. But if you're just one person, you can just brew straight into your cup, no problem. So over 10 years into my coffee journey, this setup is sort of what I've settled on. Every few months, a new gadget comes along that claims that it's the new ultimate way to brew things, that it changes the game. But once you have these basics down pat, everything else honestly is just diminishing returns. With a pretty basic setup, you can go quite far, especially when you're just starting. Everything you make will taste good because you'll be really proud that you made something with your own 2 hands for the first time, and you're sort of just learning how to taste good coffee. It's also worth noting that for filter coffee, you can start pretty inexpensively like I've shown here. But if you want to do espresso, that can cost you a lot of money, even thousands of dollars, especially if you want to replicate cafe quality. I used to have a budget Breville machine, but I honestly prefer the taste of filter coffee anyway, and I think you will enjoy it too if you try it if you're not used to it yet. But really, that's it. I've always wanted to make a bit of a coffee video, especially given my background, and this is honestly like one of the hobbies that I really do enjoy learning about, talking about, consuming. I am hoping this video does really well, so if you enjoyed it, give it a like and comment what is your favorite way to brew coffee. If you didn't enjoy it, then that will also tell me that I should probably stop making videos like this. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.